Alright, welcome back to another episode of Viewer Mail. And I got a couple packages here, but I also want to answer emails because I'm getting way behind on answering emails. And I may not even be able to get them all with this iPad for some reason. If you have it set up a certain way, it doesn't seem to want to like load all of them back all the way from the beginning. Yeah, so I need to update my settings, I guess, to make it easier, because I honestly don't remember how far back I've answered emails. I'm getting very behind on comments again, and I don't like that. I like to try to keep it current and answer you, but I'm getting so many messages and phone calls and stuff, I'm not getting it all done. Viewer Gary has sent me a whole bunch of emails again, and I never seem to get replied to all of them, but I do still appreciate his stories. He's got the YouTube channel now where he tells some of his stories. I'll put that link up here again. After he watches a video, he'll usually have a story to tell, and it's pretty interesting. Yeah, this one is back from the tractor drive era when we did that and it rained, and I bet your grandpa was shaking his head about those crazy young whippersnappers who went out on a day when my old time sense said it was not a good one. Yeah, that tractor ride that we did was good, but we just couldn't seem to avoid rain. That was the second time we tried it. It got rescheduled and it, yeah, just didn't work. Let's see here. Viewer John, who has written me in the actual mail before, sent me an email about some of his Olivers and sent pictures. And in this one, he says, several years ago, my dad purchased an 1800A, thinking we could disc or pull a hay roller with it. We can get it running, sounds really strong until we try to pull a disc, and then it will barely run. We think it may have something to do with the carburetor. The one on it is definitely not original. What do you think is the best carburetor for an 1800A? Well, the 1800A would have had a cast iron Schebler carburetor, but according to the pictures he sent, and I can put those in here, it looks like it's got that same carburetor that Zenith like is on the 880, and I just dearly hate those things. So yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to take it apart. It's probably got an accelerator pump in it like mine did, and it's probably stuck. So Viewer John, that's the answer to that question there. Next one, I got a email from Viewer Carson, who says he came across an Oliver 1365 where the seller claims it was an industrial. It looks taken care of. I've been researching and even called the Floyd County Museum, and I haven't found any information on whether or not such a model exists. It has a yellow paint scheme and appears original with Oliver decals and fenders. I don't know for certain. Like I said, I'm kind of new at the Fiats. Only this year has been the first year I've ever messed with Fiats, and I've learned a ton, but I don't know everything. Unfortunately, the whole build card situation with Fiats is not as good as it was with Charles City tractors because they weren't built here on the assembly line. So for example, the 1355, there are build cards that exist on those, to my knowledge. However, mine unfortunately was missing from the stack. So on that tractor that I believe is a heritage tractor, so that didn't really help me out. Now when you go to the 1365, they don't have build cards, they have what they call defect sheets, and I can try to put a picture in of the one for my 1365. Basically it's just the thing that the guy, like the checklist, that a guy would go check it over when it was finally put together and say, ugh, keep yawning, sorry. Anyway, and he would say, you know, everything's the way it's supposed to be. And so it gives some notes on there, but not nearly the detail of the build card. I would assume that if somebody had wanted, like a city or whatever had wanted a 1365 to use for like highway maintenance and something, they probably would have got them a yellow one, you know, painted yellow or however, but I don't know enough about them yet to know for certain that there was industrials and there was certain differences between them. I would say it's probably just a green one that was, you know, or the same as a green one that was yellow, but it was probably always yellow, because what I think, like I said before, from what I've gathered, when they came over here on the boat, you know, they didn't have grills in them, and they didn't have the regular final wheels on them. They had like, the pictures I've seen, they had like steel wheels put on them for shipping. And then when everything got over here is when they got their American tires and whatever, and then the Oliver style grills, and they got the serial number tags put on them. And so I believe that, you know, is probably, I don't know this for sure, this is just my thinking, but if you picture the unloading lot where they got them all off the boat, there were probably yellow ones, red ones, and green ones. And if somebody wanted an industrial one, they went and got a yellow one, they put an Oliver tag on it and put Oliver stickers on it. Just like they would have, I think, with the Heritage ones. They pulled a red one because it was already red, and then all they had to do is stick the special decals on, put an Oliver serial number tag on it, and go. There is more to that story I've learned since then on red Oliver badged tractors. There have been some that have surfaced, but I have to dig into that more. I've heard rumors on that there was a run of like 200 of them that were done that way or whatever, but I don't know. But I believe they were 1365s and not 1355s, but I'll have to look back at all my pictures and notes and things. But anyway, as far as it being an industrial and having something different, I just don't know yet. And I may never know, because those people are probably gone who know the answers to my questions. Let's see. Viewer Adam wanted me to send him pictures, which I never did, of the ball and socket joint. He's talking about the throttle linkage for the 550. I didn't realize that Corvez sold a version of it. Somebody else, actually the owner of this 550 diesel, bought one for one of his gas 550s, and he sent me a picture of it. It's made a little differently. It looks like the two ends thread into the center tube, but that would work fine. So, and it was half the price of the AGCO one. Next, we have viewer Ron said, I love your channel as well as Oliver's. I live in Ottawa, Ontario. That's in Canada. I grew up on a 1250 gas during the 70s and 80s. My uncle and his family, however, have been Oliver people on their dairy farm in Quebec since the 60s. One picture attached is of the 550 Special, which they still use, and that is super duper cool, because the 550 Special is kind of an unusual tractor, because you've seen the literature of like the 17 and 1850 Special, which were stripped down models to try to, you know, make them more cost competitive. And there were some 550 Specials, but I don't know what made them special. I don't know the rules. You know, like the 1750, 1850s were diesel only. They had single headlights in the fenders, blah, blah, blah. They had different paint scheme. The white was not white. It was like Eucalypt green or something. But anyway, I don't know what the rules were to make a 550 Special a special. But it also says here, also in my cousin words, Dad's first was a 550 Special, and we still have the 1365 4x4 and 1370 two-wheel drive. Whew, I can't quit yawning. 1370 is just the next revision of the 1365, so same thing. I believe the 1365 has over 10,000 hours on it, and 1370 is getting close to 9,000. They just go and go. People brag about their newer tractors having so many hours, but with the new ones, as soon as you turn on the key, they're counting hours. The old ones count hours at working RPMs, usually close to 2,000. So anyway, I love your channel. Viewer Ron. Thank you, Viewer Ron, for writing. That's a pretty cool picture, a 550 special. I'll put it in the video so you can see what it looks like. Next, what have I not answered or answered? Because I just, like I said, I feel bad I've gotten so far behind, but I got a viewer from, or I got a mail, I can't talk. I got an email from viewer Wes. He's emailed a bunch before. His son just started a YouTube channel called the Oliver Acreage, so check that out. I'll put the link in for that. Are you going to the New York show? No, I did not make it to the New York show, unfortunately. He's telling me about they're putting the brakes back in the 66, and have I tried electrolysis tub to get the rust off of stuff? I have not tried that, but I would like to. It seems to work pretty good. So I just need to get that set up, rigged up. But anyway, basically just project updates on his end. And I wanted to mention that YouTube channel, so check that out. Let's see. What else have I not read? Oh, here's an email from viewer Gary, again, about that VAC case. I had several videos of that. And he says, years ago when I was teaching ag mechanics at WVC, we made a deal with Case. They would be able to use the facilities for a one-day service school if they presented the same school to our students. The head Case service, Muckety Muck, was there to represent the company to the students. One student asked a question about some steering, and the head service guy said that Case made a mistake when they did away with the steering rod that ran outside the frame. So take that for what you will, but I don't know about that. External steering rod, I don't think that was necessarily the greatest design, but funny nonetheless. Let's see. Oh, I need to email viewer Gary back about this email. He was watching my fair video and saw the name on the front of one of the Oliver industrial tractors, and he was wondering if it was tied into like his wife's relation. And I do know who that is, and I will email you. I'll just do it right now so I don't forget. Okay, that is sent back. That's good. Okay, viewer Will. I'm a big fan of your YouTube channel. Keep up the great work. I have a 1650 gas I got when I bought the farm. I use it for brush hogging and small chores around the farm. It's a 1969, I believe, serial number and model number are attached in the pics. My problem is I'd like to start using the 489 mower. I also got, but when I hook up the hoses, it goes up but won't come down. The pressure stays on each hose and I have to drain it down to detach it. I watched your videos on double and single cylinders and tried adjusting restrictor valves, flood valves, put different couplers on with no luck. The cylinder's double acting and lifts the head of the mower, but like I said, it won't come down. The remotes both have 90-degree restrictors, I think, on the base and rod remotes. It came like that. It sits, as it sits, there's no 3/8 plug installed in the front port. You don't need that because that would be for Power Beyond. No hose connecting the exhaust port to the bypass port, and the hydraulic fluid is full. Pump is strong, and the tractor is in great condition for its age. When I pull the handle back, it lifts, and when the handle, when released, returns to center, but I can't push the handle forward. Both handles only go back and return to center. Not sure if that's right or if that's the problem. No. I suspect when he says this problem, and this is just off the top of my head, in one of the pictures, there is a whole bunch of silicone on the top lid cover, which tells me somebody has had it apart. And I would almost bet what is happening is that when they put the top cover back on, they didn't get the levers hooked. It's got like little forks and a pin, and I'm betting they didn't get it put that way. They probably got the fork in front of it, and it'll shove it back, but it won't go the other way, you know what I mean? So I'm thinking that what you're going to have to do is probably take the top cover off again and redo it and get a good gasket and be done with that silicone, because that is too much there, I can tell you, and that'll just cause you sadness. But like I said, it looks like somebody has worked on it before. He said something about restrictors. Those aren't restrictors to me. In the picture, it doesn't look like. The 50 series and those style hydraulic units had a swivel thing in it, but it wasn't a restrictor. It was just it's a square looking swivel. So that looks right. But without being there, I can't really tell you, but I would say pull your top cover off and make sure that those levers got put, you know, hooked in there right. And then another thing is, and I don't know if I misread that or don't understand, there's really no no good way you're going to use a single acting and double acting cylinder at the same time on that style hydraulic unit. If you want to do that, you're going to have to plumb into the Power Beyond and get a different set of, like a different valve, so that you can do what you want to do. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way. You can, if you want to do one-way cylinders, you can unscrew that bolt on the side, and then you can do one way, but then your 3-point won't work. So you're going to have to, you know, like I said, if you want to use single acting, one way, and 3-point all at the same time on those small frame hydraulic units, you're going to have to use the Power Beyond and get you an external valve to do all the functions you want, because you just won't be able to do everything you want that way. If it was the large frame 55 series, you could just plug in and go. But so that is probably not what you wanted to hear, viewer Will, but that is my prognosis just from reading your email. Viewer Danielle, I think I remember this person contacting me on Facebook too. Have an 1850 that seems like you have to turn the steering wheel about a half a turn before it starts turning. Well, if it's the old style steering motor, that's probably, you're going to be just dealing with that. You might look, when you turn the wheel, look down in the front and see if the steering box is moving a bunch before your wheels turn. It may be that your connecting link is slopped out or whatever and it's not holding it tight, because that's a common thing. They'll get loose, and then the first part of your steering, all it's doing is cocking the steering box until it can't go anymore and then turning. That could be it. But those old style steering motors, there's a lot more round and round to them finally. You know, if you drive one, some of them are good as gold, but some of them you can sit there all day long and just be turning the wheel continuously to keep going straight ahead, because they just, that's the way they are now. So anyway, I would check all that, like I said, check the steering box and make sure it's tight. That would get you some of that back probably. So that's my answer for you, viewer Danielle. Viewer Larry, I inherited a 1970 Oliver White 1955 model tractor. I'm trying to find out where I can best check the hydraulic pressure on my tractor with a gauge. This person might actually be a guy who only lives a few miles from here, based on his name. If that's you, you can contact me again, because I was at the auction and bought a bunch of stuff from you when the dad's auction was, if it's the guy I'm thinking of, and his dad's name was Omer. So if that's you, you can reach out to me again and I'll try to help you more, because you don't live that far. And if that is it, that was a very, very nice original tractor. It had a 1610 loader on it, I believe, when I saw it last. I'm trying to figure out where I can best check the hydraulic pressure on my tractor with a gauge. I have the maintenance manual. It was not clear where I could do that. Right now I'm chasing down a hydraulic leak that appears to come from under the floor of the driver's area. I know once I find and fix the leak, I want to check the pressure. I will be changing the hydraulic fluid, filter, etc. Any advice on how to do it would be appreciated. I have several videos working on that 1755 of the customers, and it would be basically the same procedure to follow. If you're checking like relief valve pressure, it's under that priority valve. If you want to just check what pressure you've got at the remotes, just plumb up a gauge to a coupler end and plug it into the remotes and check it there. But you know, there's that 1/8" pipe plug under the priority valve to check your relief valve pressure and whatever. And like I said, there's videos. The 1755 is the same hydraulic system. So you look at that, it should look just like yours. And like I said, if you are the Larry, if you are the person who just lives a few miles away, reach out to me again and I'll come help you. Let's see, what else have we got? This is turning into quite the more video than I thought it would be. Viewer Adam sent me a thing asking what I thought of a tractor, and I don't know that I got replied to it, but he was looking at a Super 55, and I see the link is no good now. So I don't know if he bought it or not, but a Super 55, I don't think you can go wrong with. Yeah. Viewer Brody sent me, and he comments on a lot of videos, he sent me pictures of his grandpa's. My name is Brody and I'm a big fan of the channel and watch every video you show us your tractors, and I always thought it'd be cool if I could show you mine. I'm 15 and I'm in the works of restoring a Farmall H. So I'll put a picture in or two of this Farmall H, and he's working on it and it's looking very good. So that's always good to see younger people interested in tractors and fixing them up, and also proof that you don't have to spend a ton of money up front. Get one, play with it, fix it up a little as you go, and you know, enjoy it all along the way is what I'm saying. So that's good. Viewer Wes again, this is how long it's gone. It's gone like months without me reading these messages, or I've read them and then just never responded. Viewer Wes sent me an email from the national show up there, and it's got his son next to an 1800 that's all fixed up. Bailey found his tractor all prettied up, way more better than his. Well, like I said, you know, you can always make them look pretty, so don't be discouraged. A good running tractor is worth its weight in gold. I wish I could have went to that show too, but I can't get away from here that long. That's too far. Let's see. Viewer Dale, I'm going to mail your pump today. He bought what was the hydraulic pump off that Parts 1365. He wanted that. And the last time I went to the post office, it was closed. I don't know if they got different hours or what. So I got the box and got it all ready to go. So I'll send that out. Let's see. This is kind of an interesting story from viewer Gary. It's called Tree Stump. One of our customers had, in fact, I went to college with him for 2 years in the late 60s, had a tree stump they were digging with shovels. A fair-sized tree stump. This was before track hoes were common. He got tired of digging, so he got some dynamite and was going to blast it out. He had heard if you mix ammonium nitrate and diesel fuel, it would help the blast. Nothing like making your own explosives at home. So he mixed up 3 to 4 bags of the stuff with diesel fuel and packed it in around the stump. Well, when the dynamite went off and set the ammonium nitrate mix off, let's just put it this way. That was over 55 years ago, and they report that pieces of that tree stump are still coming down. Oh, I could just see that. I can't stop laughing. He and his younger brother took over the farm when Dad's mine was somewhere else most of the time. Everyone called them such and such. I'm not going to say their name. I was applying liquid fertilizer and herbicide on their farm using my truck with the 48-inch wide floater tires. I got stuck. The surface of the ground simply piled up like a carpet if you were to spin the wheels on it. My floater truck was not spinning any wheels. It simply pulled the carpet out from under itself. Their dad hooked the 4150 onto the truck, and that was when I found out that his mind went to other places. Other than almost pinning me between the tractor and the truck, he got me pulled out. He forgot we had not unhooked the chain, and he was heading back home with me blowing the horn, trying to get him to stop. Oh, that was a good story. I enjoyed that. Jeez. Oh my. Just so much stuff here. Another viewer, Gary, sent me an email from Texas when it was so hot and commented. He sent me a picture of his thermometer, and it was 112 degrees on his thermometer, I guess, in the sun. So that does not sound pleasant. Let's see here. Okay, here's an email from viewer Brian. We'll get to the presents soon. I know this is probably rambling on and on and on, but you people wrote, and you should get to hear what I think about it, since I'm not very good at texting back. It says, viewer Brian, and it says, huge fan, New Albany, so he doesn't live that far. I discovered your channel about 3 years ago, and I love it. When I grew up in Vincennes, Indiana, working in the fields, every summer on top of piling around with friends who lived on farms. Your videos bring me back to those days, and those memories of driving tractors, combines, grain trucks, G's, Farmal A's, and M's, and so on. We drank a lot of beer after 6 of us picked 209 acres of melons, picking, loading wagons, loading semi-trucks, same day, 6 guys. Drove a 1600 narrow front one summer cleaning brush. Awesome tractor. I watch them as fast as you put them up, so please keep going as I love them. Wish I had stayed farming as no one knows the joy it brings. I agree with that. I am in office as an IT guy crunching gray matter, wishing to go back to those days. Thank you for you and what you do. Big fan, Brian. Thank you very much, Brian. So far, I've enjoyed making the videos. It's not really that much inconvenience to my life, so I'm trying to do one a day, just filming stuff that I do. I don't always film every day of the week. I usually film like 4 or 5 videos a day, and then, you know, do some stuff off camera, because it is slower when you have to have the camera, but it's not that big a deal. But I agree with what he said about farming. It's definitely a good lifestyle, and if you've never done it, you don't understand. But it is, if you leave it, the memories of it are probably some of your best memories. So, let's see. Another viewer, Alan, after seeing this tractor, which I need to get put back together, I just want to thank you for showing your work on the Ferguson TO30. I have a 1955 TO35. My dad bought in 1956 from another farmer. I grew up with that tractor. After he died, I got it. It has a non-functioning governor as well, and the 30 looks to be about the same as the 35. I've been putting off working on it for years, but after seeing your project, I think I'll look into it. I used the tractor to mow the pasture on the old farm place where my mom still lives and rake a little hay and plow snow with the homemade snow plow Dad made for the loader at my place. I hope to get another cutting of hay, so between hay season and snow season, I'll pull the little Fergie in the shop before it gets cold and tackle it. On the note of radiator mounting, I think if the tractor is original without that rack, after taking the top bracket off, you could just loosen the 2 bottom bolts and rotated the radiator to the side. I think that's probably true. At least that's what I thought it was made for when I worked on the water pump 10 years ago. Yeah, I got to get this back together, so I don't know how hard it's going to fight me going back together, but really, other than just having to take a bunch of stuff loose, it doesn't seem like that big of a project to tackle, so you should be fine. Let's see. Viewer Chip sends me a question. He says, my name is Chip, and I live in western Kentucky. My dad passed away last year, so now I'm trying to maintain the 4 Oliver tractors he had. First, where are some good places to buy parts? I feel like the ones I found online have parts that might fit, but also other brands of tractors. Second, I'm going to add pictures to what I think is a hub for our 1850 duals. I hope to add duals in the future because I want to pull an 8-row planter. Hopefully, you can answer more questions in the future sent from mobile device. Chip. Alright. The picture I'll put in of his hub is in fact a style of dual hub I have seen before on tractors. It was actually a set on that 1800B that I tried to buy and didn't get that done. And this style of duals mounts to the 4 bolt holes that would hold wheel weights. So I don't know who made them or whatever. They're not, to my knowledge, they're not factory made things that, you know, like Oliver didn't make them. They were probably some other aftermarket company that sold duals and offered this style. I might be wrong, but the one I saw did not seem to have an Oliver part number anywhere. So anyway, so that's what that is. If you have a set of those or see them, places to buy parts all over. I buy parts from everywhere. I mean, Oliver parts, Corvez, Maybach, those are probably the 2 go-to ones. All States Ag Parts I buy a bunch of stuff from. eBay, you know, whatever, just wherever you can find it. There's several guys I use that part out tractors if I gotta have something that you can't get new, so any of those. This person, viewer Ray, and I thought this was cool, and I never got replied to him, so I probably should pause here and reply to him too. But he says, good afternoon. After watching your video on an Oliver 500, I own a David Brown 850, among others, which I restored 2 years ago. Your Oliver and my 850 are Series 1 models. They are virtually identical from the grill and color, except for the grill and color. He sent me a link to the online manual. Scroll down till you see 850, 880, 990, repair manual, instruction book, tractor driver's guide. Open these for lots of information. Attached are photos of my 850 and other tractors owned by me and my son. Best regards, Ray, Northern Scotland. And I just think that's neat that people all over the world can see the videos. And I think that is a cute little tractor. I wouldn't mind to have one of those just to have with the 500, just to show people that that's what it was. But I have never seen one of these over here, to my knowledge. I don't think they ever imported any of this series. I might be wrong, but I've never seen one over here of this body style like the 500 painted red. But I think that is a neat little thing, and it is. It's basically the 500 in its original colors. So pretty neat, Ray. I did get your email. Anyway, hopefully you see this. I'll try to reply after a while and say that you'll be in the video. I think we're nearing the end of my long list of emails. Yeah, I'd say we'll call it there. I got another email from a viewer wanting to know about gas engines on an auction, but viewer Jamie, he was wanting to collect some engines, and I don't know. I'm gonna have to sit down and scroll through all these and see what's what. But it looks to me like there is a John Deere 1.5 E. Well, here we go. 6 horsepower McCormick Deering M, which would be a good running engine, and that is super cheap. It's only $425 right now. 3 horsepower M, those are good running engines, throttle governor engines. I like the way they run. 1.5 Hercules, boy, that's a steal right now, $170. That would be a good engine. The LB, they're kind of common. I mean, maybe if you're into that thing, there it is. It's 120 bucks right now. 1.5 M International, another good running engine. 1.5 John Deere, good running engine. Empire Special, made by Fairbanks Morse. That's a good running engine, a throttle governed engine, of course. So if this video comes out before I get you replied to, any of those would be good engines. Just don't overpay for them. 1.5 engines like what I saw there are probably going to be in the $700–800 range. Maybe slightly more if they're original paint. I didn't look at them that close. 3 horsepower, you're looking at probably $1,200 or so on that, like that M. And then the 6 horse M, that could be pricey, but it would be a good running engine. So anyway, I think that's got us caught up on emails and correspondence. Now let's get to our packages, which I almost dumped all over the floor. I'll start in order that they came. This one came first. And I hope the note is still in here so I don't miss it. Alright. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Here we go. Alright. He says, this is from viewer Steve. It says, Dear Ross, have these Oliver parts and thought you could use them. I do not need them. Also love watching your channel. And don't forget, I don't think you're an idiot. You're smart. I grew up with Olivers. Sure love the 1855. We had one just like it, and I learned how to drive on a 770. Sincerely, Steve. When you see me comment, okay, yeah, I see his name. He sent me his name to what the YouTube comment thing shows, because like I said, sometimes now it doesn't show me your name anymore. It just shows your username. I live in Clintonville, Wisconsin, and anyway, so let's see what he sent to us. He sent a key switch, which is super handy because I like to keep these on hand, and I used my last one, so that's going to be super handy at some point. And then some hitch balls here, so that's handy because seems like hitch pins, you're always looking for these, and I usually weld, like I've showed before, I usually weld washers to them so that they, so thank you, viewer Steve. This definitely will get put to use, and I appreciate you sending them and all the stuff you said. So thank you. Next, or I should say finally for today, if I didn't ruin the getting it in the glue. It says, Ross, you commented that you have not used many Klein tools. I think this one will help you out. Thanks for the videos, Jeff. And he sent me, ooh, it is a 11-in-1 with bit for Schrader valves. It even comes with the, like the, not just screwdriver bits, but it's got the bit to take the valve cores out of the tire valve stems. That is super duper handy. So yes, I definitely will use this. Thank you very much. This is pretty cool. I'm looking at all the stuff that it does. So that's pretty nifty. Thank you. And then he also sent, before I forget, he says, P.S. Here's a picture of my 1947 Hoyt Clagwell. And that was a joke I made back when I was working on that 2-in Ford. Because if you ever watch Green Acres, the tractor that was actually a Fordson in the show, but Mr. Haney sold Mr. Douglas, and then he would always say what kind of tractor is that, and it was a Hoyt Clagwell, and they could never find parts for it.
Mr. Kimball, I'm trying to fix this thing.
Well, what seems to be wrong with it?
A piece broke off.
Oh. What kind of a tractor is this?
It's a Hoyt Clagwell.
A Hoyt Clagwell?
What's so funny?
Oh, it's nothing. It's the Hoyt Clagwell, huh?
So, anyway. But thank you again, Jeff. That's super cool. I definitely will use it, and I'm sure I will love it. So, as always, thank you people for watching videos and leaving your comments and taking the time to email me. And thank you so much for the stuff you're sending. Like I said, I never expect it, but it definitely is appreciated. If I can't get that across, it is. I appreciate it very much, and it amazes me how many people enjoy the stuff. So thank you again for everything, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.